Hi again. In this video, I'm going to talk about public markets, which is the financial lingo for how you can buy the securities, that is bonds or shares, that we spoke about in the last video. So securities can be bought through two markets, and that's the stock market and also the debt market. And I'll go through both, and the stock market might be better known to you. Let's start off with that. So stocks are bought through what's called a stock exchange, and a lot of countries have a stock exchange, and it's pretty much just a place where you can go. Used to be a public place, now it's obviously all done online, where you can go to buy a share in a public company. So 10 of the largest stock exchanges are shown here, and interesting to see the one at the end, Euronext Amsterdam. And Euronext is the organization that does the exchange for Amsterdam. The Amsterdam Stock Exchange itself is actually the oldest of all the stock exchanges. It started off in about 1602, when the Dutch East India Company was the first company that actually could be publicly traded, or its shares could be bought or sold by the public. So it's got an interesting history in the Netherlands. And to go into a bit more detail at the moment into an exchange, and I'm using Euronext Amsterdam as an example. So each exchange has all these companies that have gone public, and this means that anyone can buy shares in those companies. And on any given day when the market's open, which is generally just business hours on every business day, you can buy or sell a share. And obviously it's a very useful system for people. They don't have to buy a share and then hold it for the rest of their lives, or wait till someone can come around. A bit like a house, it's not an easy thing to buy or sell, whereas a share, within a second you can buy it and then sell it. And you might recognize some companies in this list here. So you have Air France KLM is obviously one of the biggest companies in the Netherlands, and even Ajax, the football team, is a public company, so you can buy a share of Ajax. And you can see here you have the names, and you also have the share prices, and that's how much you have to pay for one share in that company. So the way you can buy shares through the stock market is through two means. First is the primary market, and that is the first time this company goes public, it's called. So it's an initial public offering, an IPO, and they've been a private company in the way that we spoke about before in the life stages of these companies, and now it's becoming public, going onto the stock market. So for the first time, anyone can just buy shares, but they're offering them at one moment in time. And then you have the secondary market, where those shares are traded. So most of the time when you are buying, and we'll go into this in more detail, or selling, you'll be doing it on the secondary market. You're buying someone else's shares, they bought someone else's shares, they bought someone else's, and maybe that person bought the original IPO shares the first time they were offered, but most of the time they're trading in the secondary market. So as I've used these terms quite a bit, companies on the stock market are referred to as listed or public. It's just the terminology. And generally the kinds of companies that are on it are larger ones, and we went through again that life cycle. So they're the more advanced, larger companies, and there's some obligations that come with being a listed company, and one of them is you have to keep shareholders constantly up to date with your performance, so shareholders can then make an informed decision of whether they buy and sell the shares. So that's the stock market in a nutshell, and this is the debt market. So it's a less complicated system than the stock market, and the reason is really, again, as we'll go into in a future video, it's a little less relevant for the everyday investor like ourselves. There's a primary market where they first issue these bonds on the debt market, so that's the first time you can really lend to a company, and then you can buy and sell those bonds in the future. And in a future video, as I said, we're going to go through how you as an investor fit in to both the stock market and the debt market. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.